Do I look thinner? I'm sorry, I should not even make a joke like that, but I feel like you have to just, what can you do? I guess look on the bright side. I wanted to lose 10 pounds after I'm done nursing this baby, and I've already lost 8 of them, so yay. This is not how I wanted that to happen though. This is gonna be a video I never planned on. This was supposed to be our Midwest trip. I was gonna take you guys along out to Indiana and Ohio, and I would say life took the biggest, most unexpected turn it ever has in my whole life. Not even marriage or becoming a mom, any of that was as crazy as this past month has been. And so we're gonna get into that in this video. I might pull Josh in to help me talk about it, but honestly, I got no sleep last night, again, for how many days in a row, and I just need a break. Evonnie needs some attention, so my 6-year-old and I are gonna go out and do a little mommy-daughter time, go to a coffee shop. Do I have literal propellers going on in my head? Sorry for the fan, but... And yes, I'm sitting on an unmade bed. I didn't even sleep in it last night, honestly. I'm not here to complain. I wanna take you guys along on, I don't even know what this video is gonna be. It's gonna be a life update, but I'm not in the mood to talk right now about everything. Happy thoughts right now, okay? So my 6-year-old and I, she loves arts and crafts. So we're going to a little like reuse it craft store. I don't know, I'm excited to poke around and look around and see, well, maybe excited is too strong of a word because I don't even know what excited means anymore. But yeah, we're gonna go poke around there and then go to a coffee shop, get a little spritzer or something and sit and chat. And yeah, just have a fun little mommy-daughter noontime lunch break, I guess you can say. So come along and we'll chat soon. My dress is the Ivy from Inherit. It is button down, functional buttons, super nice length. I also got my sandals from them. They kind of have that Hermes look to them. No, of course they're not actually. They're definitely affordable. So anyway, I'll link those below for you. Oh my goodness, it is definitely like 100 degrees out here. Anyway, our first stop before we go to all of our little shopping and the coffee shop and everything is dropping this fabric off at the Amish lady who's going to sew these school dresses for Evonnie. Look at these fabrics. Aren't they so cute? They almost look like they go together in a collection, but there's going to be 5 dresses. I wrote her a note, drew everything up, exactly how we're going to do it all. Yeah, I'm not going to do the sewing. I'm going to have her do it. And I'm sending along 2 of her dresses as examples that fit her really well right now. Look what Evonnie found already, a boa. Here you can like make crafts at the table. whole next day. I roped Josh in to help me give you guys a little life update. You were gonna wear a hat.
I don't feel like combing my hair. Laziness.
Yeah, if we look a little worn out and tired out, we are. There's no real way to sugarcoat. The last couple weeks have been really rough and not at all what we expected, but yeah, we'll get into that. I called the ambulance the other week. We went to the hospital. We almost went to the hospital again today. It's just been a real day by day, moment by moment journey, and I can't really just brush over it and continue on with my channel. I thought I have to address it before we go back to hopefully our usual content. But before we get into all that, I think with all these medical bills and things that we're staring in the face and stuff, we've definitely been looking at money in a whole different way, and so we're very thankful that Rocket Money is a sponsor of today's video. Frankly, you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not check into Rocket Money. It's helped us out so much.
Rocket Money is like an app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, just to help manage your money better. You know, I can go in there, I can track expenses, you can do budgeting. There's budgeting tools on there, and
there's like literal graphs. You can see like where your money's going each month, and
food
you can compare.
Expense. Any expense category you want to make up, you can put it in that. So it's really cool. You can track your credit card, like reoccurring bills or subscriptions. They're known for their subscriptions.
Yeah. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all the features, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. People tend to subscribe to things and they forget about them, and that's how companies are making their money. So definitely check out Rocket Money even just for that feature alone.
As an example for the subscription service, I was looking through Rocket Money recently, and I found a subscription to a business software that I use that I'm not sure I need the subscription for, and I'm not sure why I have it. So I was able to look into that and figure out that, you know what, I actually really don't need that subscription for that software to still do what I'm doing. It's an upcoming charge that's going to come up next month, and well, I can cancel it before I even get billed for it. So it is really handy to be able to see that stuff.
They can even negotiate bills for you, like your phone bill, your internet.
To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today.
Go to rocketmoney.com/meganfoxunlocked or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. Again, that's rocketmoney.com/meganfoxunlocked to get started for free. So the other weekend, we went to the cabin with our friends. Great, fine, fun, whatever. It was not much to report. We came back home. That Sunday, we unpacked, and it all kind of started that evening, out of the blue.
That Sunday night, I noticed when we were putting him to bed that he had kind of like a weird nervous tick that I saw that I was like, okay, that's weird. He was kind of, had his eye was blinking kind of funny, his right eye, and he kind of was just stopped, kind of not frozen necessarily, he was still doing some stuff, but his eye was blinking funny, and he was just kind of making some funny noise with it, almost like a small giggle or a laugh of some sort. Anyway, so put him to bed, slept fine, nothing wrong. Next day went fine. That evening, Monday evening, I saw it again, like twice. Again, I'm like, what? Like, the guy didn't have a nap any of those days. So I just assumed it was some type of, I don't know, kid's tired, he's got a...
Well, he didn't have a nap all weekend at the cabin, and then Monday he didn't either, but he's 5. Tuesday I made him take a nap then, because you were saying about that, and then Tuesday night it happened again.
Yeah, Tuesday night it happened again. It happened a couple of times Tuesday night, and
You're like, that is just weird. You're like, watch it again tomorrow. If it happens, make a doctor appointment. Like, what's going on? He was Googling what eye things, like vision stuff, nervous tics. Like,
I just didn't know what it could be. So anyway, then Wednesday morning, I got invited to go play golf with some friends, and I was out on the golf course when I got a call from her that he was having a full-on seizure.
Wednesday morning, I was like, I'm going to keep an eye on him, and I heard him make a funny noise, right, like Josh described, and I went around the corner, it was gone. I'm like, okay, I need to get this on camera so when I go to the doctor, they don't just think I'm nuts, whatever. So I was like, okay, we're going to water our plants. We went outside. He was watering plants. I just kind of was like lurking in the corner. I didn't let him know I was following him, but I had my video camera up ready to go at any time and watered all the plants. It took about 10, 15 minutes. We came inside, and they wanted to have parfaits for breakfast. So I said, Fletcher, you make the parfaits, and I stood right there at the kitchen, kind of busying myself. You know, I was like, I'm gonna catch if he does this weird eye thing again, and I was not expecting what happened next. It was horrible. It was a full-blown seizure. He was like giggling, like the whole side of his face was twitching, and he kept doing the yogurt. He just kept putting the yogurt in the bowls, and I grabbed my phone like I was planning to do, and all of a sudden, after like a couple seconds, 10, 15 seconds, I realized he wasn't stopping. And I was like, Fletcher, talk to me. And I got him to repeat words, and he could repeat words. And at one point, I set down my phone, I picked him up, carried him over to the chair. I don't know why. I guess I thought he was going to fall down. It was like all blur. And I grabbed my phone again and called 911. Did I call you first or 911?
You called me to ask. You called me first to ask what you should do, and I said, well, just call 911.
Yeah.
Because I was about 20 minutes away.
And so I was on the phone with the 911 lady, and then it stopped. Yeah, it stopped, like after a couple minutes, and I started thinking a little more clearly, and I was like, you know what? Can I cancel? She's like, yeah, we can cancel the ambulance. I'm like, okay, do that. And Josh was on his way home, and we decided we're just going to take him into, we didn't know what. We were like, what, do we take him to the ER? We didn't know what to do. My mom came flying over, and he was acting completely normally fine, like completely fine. And I was so rattled. Anyway, so we got in the car, and at this point, I was like, matter of fact, and like we get in the car. My mom didn't think that the emergency room was going to really consider him really important because he looked fine and everything, and so she thought maybe I should just try to get a doctor appointment. We didn't know what to do. Anyway, and then Josh has an EMT friend who's telling him that he should just go straight to Hershey, which is like the big kids hospital, like 45 minutes away. Long story short, that's where we started heading, and he kept having like, what, 15, 16-second seizures.
You only had 2 of them, I think, on the way there.
We would like try to sing through them. It was awful. Anyway, we got there, and everything was calmed down and fine, and we went in, and I had never been in an emergency room with a kid before, and it was just not very, there's no sense of urgency at all. Anyway, he had, I'm not going to say all the details, this is his life and stuff, but he had a really big seizure in there that finally got them to pay attention to us. It was me and the baby and Josh and the 5-year-old, and
yeah, so he had the big seizure, and then
I eventually left them with the baby because he needed a nap. And anyway, I drove the whole way home, and you were there without a vehicle? Oh no, Mom came and picked me up.
Yeah, your mom came up and picked you up while we were still in the emergency room, waiting to get admitted into the hospital. But yeah, I mean, thankfully, sitting there, you know, they assured me that his vitals are all really good. They were staying good even throughout the seizures he was having. That they were staying totally fine. They put an EEG on.
They didn't even want to call him seizures right away because they were like...
Yeah, they weren't sure what they were right away, but they put an EEG on his head, wires
it's the horriblest thing
all
to see
over
a
his
child.
head, and immediately then they do like a light test to make sure everything's working, and as soon as they were done with that, he went into a pretty big seizure, and yeah, so they were able to see all that on the EEG, and they immediately administered seizure medication, something pretty strong to get him to stop, and it did. Moving forward, he had very few after that, and then he went, we were admitted to the hospital that evening, and we were in the hospital for 5 days, I believe.
What you're forgetting is every minute feels like 5 hours, like whether you're at the hospital with a rambunctious 5-year-old or you're at home, just literally my phone. I did not want it to beep, and I wanted it to beep. Like, you just, every nerve in your body is just like on high alert. Like, I wasn't sleeping at night. It was just awful. We really had to push the doctors because it was like 4th of July. We went in on July 3rd, and July 4th was the next day, and they actually finally did get an MRI scheduled for July 5th, I think it was, because they're like, he was having these seizures, they weren't stopping, they were smaller, none of the big ones were happening anymore, but, and he was on this really weird medicine that totally changed his
personality.
They eventually scheduled an MRI to look and see what's causing these, and oh my goodness, so we didn't know when it was going to happen, and they said it's going to be a miracle if we get it in today. And we just had everybody praying that they could get an MRI fast because like the seizures were still happening and we didn't know why, and he was on really strong meds. He was acting super loopy and like high, and it was so scary. I was like, is this meds that are doing this, or is this who he is now? You know, like, it was awful, awful, awful. Mom was over. I couldn't. I had anxiety to begin with over like babies with a fever, like, and now this was it was just crazy, like a whole other dimension of life, and people were like out watching fireworks, and like it was unbelievable.
It was a tough time. It was that week there was by far the hardest week of my life. But you know, the things that we're thankful for right now are the fact that it's not anything worse.
You didn't know if they were going to tell us that evening or the next morning, and I just had my phone beside me, knowing the whole time they might be in the room telling Josh. I was supposed to still be a mom to 3 children, and I mean, you didn't have it any easier in the hospital, seeing them doing all the things to him and like seeing his personality like that, and he was like all hyper. It was awful. Anyway, they didn't call, and so we knew the next morning they were going to tell us whatever the news was. I'm going to put a whole bunch of list of songs down below, like songs my friends sent me. That was like the only thing. Like, I couldn't even think. I couldn't pray, nothing. I just like would numbly listen to music and just like basically beg and plead, you know? And I just remember parking the van and walking into the hospital the next morning, like knowing they're going to tell, like, this morning is going to change our lives. And it was actually scarier than we thought, because in walks, literally July 1st was the start of the new residency program. If you're familiar with like the medical field and how that all works, all the new doctors were coming in, and so each attending doctor, is that what they're called, has like 3 residents watching and observing. They're not even on their own yet, because it's like the first week. They're so brand new. Anyway, so we had the neurologist and their 3 residents come into the room at the exact same time as the pediatrician.
Yeah, it was a pediatrician.
And his 3 people.
Yeah, there were some other people mixed in there too.
There was 8 or 9 doctors just pouring into our room at once, and I couldn't even look up. I could not even. It was awful. What were you thinking?
The nurse had told me the night before that if they don't come to talk to you tonight, it's probably good news. They said usually, she's like, if it's something bad, usually they come right away to talk to you about it. So it
almost seems backwards to me. But.
Well, yeah. So I was feeling pretty good.
But when they all walked in at the same time. When they all walked
in, it's a little scary. But the MRI didn't show any tumors, any masses, anything abnormal. The MRI is technically normal. There was a little bit of haze in the area of his brain where these seizures are happening, but that's to be expected. Nothing out of the ordinary there.
They ordered a spinal tap and came back without any infections. Correct. He had never run a fever, nothing like that. There was no head trauma, nothing had happened. There was basically, we don't know why he's having focal seizures that are not affecting him, they said, because he's like functional through them and everything. But at that point he was on 3 different meds.
No, he was on 2 different meds. They were all giving him through IV.
Had all these things all over his head with the cap on top, and like, oh my goodness, yeah, he was such a champ through it all. Like, I asked my friends, I was like, he's going stir crazy in this hospital. Even like those meds were still in his system yet, and so they sent me a little wheelie suitcase of just used toys that they had at home, or some of them threw in new stuff or whatever. And so he had so much stuff. Yeah. But right now, as we sit now, it's been exactly, today is the anniversary of 2 weeks since that day we went into the hospital. I'm posting this a little bit later, so maybe we'll know more by then. But he's still having multiple seizures a day. We're trying to see if this one medicine, he's on one medicine to stop the big seizures, and that's working, but he's still having little seizures all throughout the day. Last night was the best night ever, and we were actually going to go into a different hospital this morning. And God spared us from having to do that, because he had 2 seizures all night long. And
typically he was having, anywhere from 10 to 20 of them throughout the night. So, I feel it feels like we're on an upward trend. We just don't know. We have another appointment on Monday with a specialist that is a lot more familiar with epilepsy. So we're very curious to see his opinion, to hear what he has to say, and maybe he'll have a good idea of where to go from here. So at the end of the day, we're very grateful. Things could be so much worse. We have to focus on all the good things, and that's hard right now, but we know that so far our son is okay. and we have to cling to that and just keep praying. I mean, it's multiple times a day we're begging the Lord to take these seizures away from our son, and
just praying that we're on the right track with meds.
Correct.
Because we've heard so many stories. Apparently it's like 1 to 3% of the population, which is crazy high, deals with seizures and epilepsy, and like I had no idea. Like I didn't even know what I was looking at when I saw it the first time. It was like so awful. Anyway, I just never heard of it. And now my second cousin, their daughter dealt with it, and she's in school now, and like the future looks so dark, I'm not gonna lie. But I know it could I don't know.
There's a path forward. There's a path through it, and we just have to find that path. And that's the hard part right now. We plan to kind of just keep trying to live life as much as normally as we possibly can while we work through the medications and figure out what's the right thing. You know, if things were to get worse, we would probably head to a different hospital with a special epilepsy team.
That's like 2 hours away.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all. But if we get to that point, it's what I'm going to have to do. I'll have to take him in, and we'll have to do it that way. But for now, I think the Lord's granted us time. The meds seem to be starting to work. It's hard to know for sure. So we just keep praying, and that's all we can ask right now. We have lots of people praying for us, and it has been a real blessing. It's been humbling, the amount of people that have reached
humbling.
out.
The meals, I haven't cooked a meal in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's just been amazing. The power of just community, the church, it's something that we've never, ever even considered that power. We didn't understand it until now, and it's what's gotten us through. The amount of text messages. I sat in that hospital room. It's a lonely place, I'm not gonna lie. But there's messages from friends and people I hadn't heard from in quite a while that found out and shot me a text message. And it's just a reminder that if you know of somebody, even distantly know who they are, send them a message and tell them that you're praying for them. It just feels way better. It brightens things up just a little bit. Every message and every little good deed that people do for us, it just brightens things up a little bit.
Yeah, and I had friends sending me, like I said, songs like that didn't seem to minister to you as much, but for me, just like crying out to Jesus in songs and like Bible verses. The verse that I keep clinging to through all this is where God says, "I know the plans I have for you." Like He plans, nothing surprises Him. I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you. Like, anyway, that's like the verse I keep clinging to. Honestly, the brightest spot in this whole thing has been Fletcher. Like, he doesn't skip a beat. He keeps right on going.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's his normal old self. He's learning math facts. He's as good as Evonnie with math, basically. Okay, not quite, but he likes to think he is.
Yeah.
And I'm just praising God for that every day, and I just pray that we can get these seizures stopped before there's any like long-term effects, lasting effects. Anyway, yeah, I might give little updates here and there in videos, but I don't want that to be. This channel is not about our children.
Correct.
It's about my life, and that is my life right now, so I can't just ignore it. But yeah, we'll take any prayers our way that you have, and if you're going through this same thing,
yeah, we'd love to hear your story.
My heart.
If you are going through it, and we now understand what you're going through, for sure.
We just keep saying to each other all the time, like, or I keep telling you at least, like, I just want to get out of this so I can go help other people. Like, I want to pray for other people. I want to bring other people meals. I want to.
Yeah.
We're so changed. Like,
yes, we are.
Our biggest, like, what used to stress you out in the evenings was the baby crying in the evenings, you know? Yeah. And like, we used to fight and bicker about the littlest things, like.
Yeah, there's definitely a change in perspective, and in some ways I'm excited for the other side of this. I really am. Like,
in every way.
Yeah, for sure. So
I think me and Jana might do a podcast in the future where I talk to you guys more about ways you can help other people that are going through a rough time, because I've learned so much being on the receiving end. So maybe look for that in the future on the Honey I'm Homemaker show. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. Rocket Money, thank you for sponsoring this video, and we'll see you next week for our normally scheduled programming, hopefully, Lord willing. Love you all. Bye.